Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
You know, I want you to listen very carefully to this quote of the day. Think about the words involved in this little saying. Black people who were never slaves are fighting white people who were never Nazis over a Confederate statue erected by Democrats because Democrats can't stand their own history anymore, and somehow it's Trump's fault. How true. Good morning, everybody. Here comes Kate Smith, and God bless America, followed by a patriot with our Pledge of Allegiance. Good morning, good morning. And a good morning, everybody. Zeb at the Ranch. I'm Zeb Bell. Good morning to you. And our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you, and also some of our great advertisers. We want to give a great big shout out to Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. Call, get on the route, service 734-6969. Right now, let's go to the phone line and have our Pledge of Allegiance. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, go ahead, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Lorna. By the way, you're a very famous name. I don't know if you're related to Lorna Doone or Own the Cookies, but God bless you for your call.
I get some for my birthday every year.
Okay. God bless you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a great day.
You too. Thank you. It's time now for the weather. Brought to you by K&R Rental at 256 South, 600 West of Heyburn. Hello, Roger, and the crew over there at K&R Rental. They get there early in the morning at 7 o'clock till 5:30 at night or even later, and they'll deliver and pick up power tools and heavy equipment to your site. They have all the tools that you need right there at K&R Rental. My goodness, they've been in business since 1979. So don't forget, stop in or give them a call, 678-3122, K&R Rental. Right now, here's our weather forecast.
It's going to be another warm one for today, and it's going to be rather warm for the entirety of the week. Looks like sunny skies for today, high of 96. Tonight we are expecting partly cloudy skies with a low of 62. Tomorrow, slight chance of rain showers and thunderstorms by tomorrow afternoon, high of 89. That is going to carry through tomorrow night with a low of 60. Then for Thursday, sunny skies, high of 90. Looking at 90 for Friday, mid-90s for Saturday. That's your weather for Zeb at the Ranch.
Thank you, Gina. And, of course, she always does a great job on our weather. K&R Rental, 256 South, 600 West of Heyburn. Number to call, 678-3122. Like I said and I have been telling you, they have all the tools and equipment for the job that you need to do. Also a Honda engine dealer. All the parts that you might need for your wheel lines, stop in, give them a call, 678-3122. K&R Rental. By the way, Thursday this week means sale day at the Burley Livestock Sale Yard, 1100 Occidental Avenue in Burley, with Merv May, Cade Rocky, and Lance Udy. And the number to call for for cattle consignments and sale information, 678-9411. The sale that works for you. Sale day on Thursday at the Burley Livestock Sale Yard in Burley. Don't you miss it. All right, calls are welcome and appreciated. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Right after I do this next commercial, I'm going to tell you just exactly how dumb some people are. Stay tuned. Oh, my goodness. Daryl's Cleaners, 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. Oh, my goodness. Get ready for fall. Get ready to take those coats in if you haven't already and have them cleaned. Everything for the fall. Maybe get the drapes cleaned for all the fall gatherings. And, of course, the holiday season looming on the horizon. They can do it all for you as they have for many, many years. Daryl's Cleaners, 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. And they can also do your washing of your clothes. They'll wash, dry, fold, and iron all your clothes at Daryl's Cleaners. You stop in and see them today in Burley. Absolutely the best, Daryl's Cleaners. When I heard this story, I thought it was a joke. I didn't think anybody could possibly be that dumb and do this. But at some clinics across the belt where the eclipse was at its darkest. Now, I'm not making this up. Some very dumb people actually applied sunscreen to their eyes. I'm letting that soak in for a minute. Honestly, they put the kind of a liquefied sunscreen, 50 factor, and they poured it in their eyes, thinking, that's a bad word to use for these people because I don't think they can think, thinking that sunscreen was actually going to protect their eyes from the rays of the sun during the eclipse. Many of which now are visiting healthcare clinics and complaining of severe, I can't help but laugh, severe eye problems. Now, write in big, black, bold letters, dumb people. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. You can't make this stuff up. Ramsey Heating and Electric, I want to say thank you to them for all they do. And they've been on this ride with us for a long, long time, and we appreciate them. All your heating, cooling, and electrical needs. And, of course, they've got all your air conditioning filters. Whoa, baby, it sounds like you're going to need them because it's going to stay in the mid-90s for the rest of the week. So stop in today at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley, or give them a call, 678-0459. They'll have your order waiting for you on the counter. They're open 7:30 to 5 Monday through Friday. Ramsey Heating and Electric, where they provide warm winters and cool summers. Calls are welcome. Come on, give me a jingle, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Denny's Restaurant. Oh, did we ever have a wonderful, wonderful lunch bunch over there last day. The people at Lunch Bunch are just so doggone nice, and we'd like to add you to the numbers. Denny's Restaurant, 611 North Overland in Burley, and another location at 291 Pole Line Road in Twin Falls. And they've got everything on the menu delicious. I mean, that's it. One word, delicious. Everything, breakfast, lunch, dinner, anytime, all the time. And don't forget online ordering. You can go to thedennys.com, hit the demand button, place your order, 20 minutes later, drive up, pick up your order, and enjoy. Denny's Restaurant, America's Diner, 611 North Overland in Burley, and 291 Pole Line Road in Twin Falls. Really nice people. Okay, we had our little moment of lighter thought, but right now it's time to get very serious and go through some of the challenging stories of the day. The left in this country has absolutely gone lower and lower into the sewer. Now in California, and listen carefully to this, I saw the guy on TV last night that is a state representative that is leading the charge to make it illegal, with possibly up to a year in jail, if you or I use the wrong pronoun when talking to or talking about transgenders. Now think about it. Up to a year in jail. And he was not very definitive last night as to how they were going to execute the bill, how they were going to try to promote the illegality of the bill as far as arresting people, and how they were going to hold them accountable when, I thought our Second Amendment was still in effect. Our First Amendment. Second Amendment better be in effect. Our First Amendment was still in effect. But, as I've stated before, and I mean this, and I'm not going to back up on this. Remember Bruce Jenner before all the idiocy? Okay. I refuse to call him by his chosen female name. Why? And I'll tell you simply why. He won all the accolades and was on television as a commentator and a decathlon winner in the Olympics and everything. Did it as Bruce Jenner. And that's how I'm going to refer to him. The same in part for Bradley Manning, a traitor to this country. He did all of his dastardly deeds against the United States as Bradley Manning, and I'm going to refer to him as Bradley. I am not going to be kowtowed by political correctness to change and call them by a female name. But this idiocy about he or she or whatever, Mr. or Miss, this is getting way out of hand. And now a bill before the state California legislature to make it illegal for you and I, if we use the wrong pronoun, there's trouble in River City and we might spend a year in jail. This just shows you how nuts our society is. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. There is going to be another great horse sale put on by Zollinger Quarter Horse Ranch. Yes, the 20th annual production sale, September 9th. Preview at 10 in the morning, sale at 11, and it's up at the ranch, 1994 South, 100 east of Oakley. Ooh, I'm telling you. Now, these horses are raised in the high desert country. They know how to put their feet in certain places or not to put their hooves in certain places. They are really, really great working horses, great minds, conformation, an abundance of color. I'm telling you, this is a great horse sale. And they're going to have a view, bid, and buy at dvauctions.com, or plan getting up there to the ranch the night before and look over all the babies. And they've got rooms blocked at the Best Western Budget Inn in Burley for buyers to stay in. This is going to be a great sale. Always is. Zollinger Quarter Horse Sale, September 9th. Don't you miss it. Golly, I thought we'd have some calls. Give me a jingle, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I was watching the TV last night, and I saw two very concerned mothers that absolutely are afraid of any retribution against them or their families. Why are they afraid? Why are they considering that they had to be blacked out on their faces so that there would not be retribution? Well, the reason is they were speaking out against the absolute idiocy and incompetency of what happened at their charter school, where the school teacher was teaching transgenderism to 5-year-olds. 5-year-old children. And getting them totally confused as to what they are and who they are. This is total evil. It's totally evil in our schools. And this sickness at a California charter school is totally insane. And I applaud the moms. And it's such a pitiful shame that those mothers have to go incognito to stand up against the forces of other parents, the school, and other teachers to absolutely speak out against what's being done in the school, confusing 5-year-old children. They haven't got a clue about what life is about. They haven't got a clue about a transition. I want to be a boy. I want to be a girl. I want to be a giraffe. I want to be a pony. They don't know. And this just leads to the insanity. Your thoughts on that? Oh, and by the way, we're going to carry another couple of stories on this next week because this perversion is getting completely out of hand. Don't forget our Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation, 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. Hello, Nick, and the rest of the great physical therapists. They know what they're doing. They can help you get back to being you. Oh, and they've got the only hydrotherapy pool around. Oh, I know because it helped me. I'll tell you what, they really got me back on my feet and going again. I swear by them. They're really good people, friendly staff, and knowledgeable. Call them today for an appointment, 678-1191. That number again, 678-1191, helping you get back to being you. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation in Burley. What in the world? Everybody slept in this morning and evidently is not dialing the number, but I would absolutely appreciate calls right now at 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Remember Kathy Griffin? Remember the absolutely not at all funny fake comedian Kathy Griffin? One of the most detestable people that you could ever watch and or listen to. Well, she's trying to make a comeback. She's waited about 6 months, and evidently she feels that's enough time for the public to forgive her or forget about her transgressions of holding up a fake severed bloody head of President Trump. She thought it was funny. She thought it would be hilarious to hold up a fake bloody head of Donald Trump. But now Kathy Griffin is coming out and saying, oh, I'm the victim. Everybody hates me. I'm the victim. She said it was only humor and nobody laughs anymore. Ooh-hoo. She's the victim. She's a stupid woman. She is a stupid, whining woman that built her own little sandcastle of being despicable and called it humor. She deserves all the blacklisting, if you will, that she gets. And kind of in a related note, I want to get into this story. It kind of ties in with Kathy Griffin and how stupid some of the people are on the left. We'll go to that right after this call. Good morning, you're on the air.
Hi there, Lonesome.
Hi there.
Can I change the subject just a little bit?
No. What is your comment right there? Go ahead.
Well, my comments was about our president. This crazy idiot that they named for the independent counsel. Now they can't find anything on Donald Trump about Russia or anything.
Yeah.
And now he wants to go into his personal finances and, just dig.
And quite frankly, I agree with Trump. I agree with Trump and say no. If you want to stay on as the special investigating counsel, no, you're not going to go into my personal money. All right, Keith Cottom, I'm going to say the same thing to you. If I were Mueller, And I told you, Keith Cottom, well, we couldn't find anything on the original investigation about Trump and Russia, but we're now going to look at your finances and lay all that on the table. What would you tell me?
I'd tell you to go pound sand. That's what I would do. But I'd probably get myself in deeper, just like Trump does every time he does it. If he fires him, which he should do, they will, news media will crucify him.
What was the initial, think back now and give me the words, what was the initial reason for having a private investigatory team in the first place? What was the reason?
To destroy Trump.
No, you're being carte blanche. No, that's not the right answer. What was the reason to get a private investigator like Mueller?
Well, it was supposed to be an unbiased thing.
No, about what? About what?
It is not on our side or the right side.
No, you're not answering the question. What was the reason of getting a private investigatory team like Mueller heading it up in the first place? What was the reason?
To find out if there was interference by the president and the Republican Party about the Russians interfering.
All right, there you go. Now, if you're going to go through that and you don't find anything, and you're going to say, well, we don't like the boundaries here, we don't like this football field, we're going to increase the sidelines by 20 yards on each side, and we're going to go after your finances. That, to me, is all the more reason for Trump to bow his neck and say, Mueller, you're fired.
Well, I think so, too. And then again, he pardoned Joe Arpaio.
Yeah.
And I think it was the right thing to do because a judge made this decision to put him in jail, not a jury.
Yeah.
And now Trump has done the right thing. But he is going to be really scorned for this.
Well, he is. He is by a.
Understand that?
Yeah, I tell you what, the Republican Party, as far as I'm concerned, they need to get into a boxing ring, and they need to have somebody just bang, bang, bang in their noggin a couple of times, so that maybe some common sense will seep in. I am glad that he pardoned Joe Arpaio. I did not see any crimes of anything that would make and maintain his staying in prison over ludicrous charges. The reason the left was starting the charge against Arpaio in the first place is because he was trying to protect us, trying to protect our borders, trying to stop illegal aliens from coming into this country. And I will be darned if I'm ever going to give a bad word against Trump pardoning Joe Arpaio.
I won't either. You know, this last Saturday, I had the opportunity to meet with Senator Mike Crapo, and it was a good meeting because I am trying to get my VA benefits, which I run up against a blank wall everywhere I go.
Yeah.
But anyway, he is a very, very gracious person. If you meet him face to face, it's hard not to like him.
I agree.
And I think he's probably on our side, don't you?
Well, I do, and I thank you for your call, Keith. I got to run. I got a hard break at the bottom of the hour. Thank you, sir. God bless.
Yeah, bye-bye.
All right, sir. And I want to remind you, too, about Autumn Haven Assisted Living Center at 924 Christian Way in Rupert. 436-3200, the number to call. And I do urge you to call. I do urge you to go check out the facilities for your loved one that might need that little extra help every day. That's right. It's the only locally owned and operated assisted living facility in the Mini-Cassia area. And they urge you to come by, visit the facility anytime. So don't forget, they always make the efforts to make Autumn Haven the best place. 924 Christian Way in Rupert. Number to call, 436-3200. They're small compared to some, but with a bigger heart than most. Autumn Haven Assisted Living Center. All right, calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. This story falls right into the category of the left and a bunch of absolute ridiculously dumb people. Listen to this one. Listen to this one about a liberal professor teaching at the University of Tampa. His name is Ken Story. And he came out yesterday and said that the people of Texas are getting what they deserve because they voted for Trump. What a despicable person. The people in Texas, with the suffering and the human misery of losing their homes, losing their businesses, losing everything they have in devastating, worst ever flooding, thanks to a hurricane by the name of Harvey. And the rains are relentless. And the reservoirs may break because they're at the all-time overflowing levels. More flooding. And this imbecile that calls himself a professor and teaching our young people and trying to shape their minds at the University of Tampa said that the people in Texas deserve what they're getting because they voted for Trump. Does that not show you the vileness and the lack of any mental stability by the left? How could you do that? How could you absolutely be that ridiculously stupid? And I lump him, this professor, and Kathy Griffin into the same bottom-of-the-barrel scum. These people down in Texas need our help. And why I'm leading into this is because my bride and I, on behalf of this program, are going to be piecing together some way that we can help in a very minuscule form. And we're going to have all the particulars ready, hopefully, by Thursday's program. I know a lot of the people down there in that area. I'm going to have one of the people from Austin, Texas, on the air on Thursday, and that's a dear friend of ours, Randy Givens. Randy has really been suffering with his cancer, off and on and recurrently. And I called him the other day, and I said, Randy, I wanted to talk to you about what's going on and also about another issue that's coming up in Texas regarding the Alamo. And I said, would you consent to coming on the program? And I could tell by the sound of his voice that he's having a lot of health problems, a lot of health problems with his cancer. But being a gracious person that he is, and he also is in the education business as a teacher. And he said, yes, he'll come on Thursday morning at 10:30 and talk about the inclement, absolute disastrous weather that's going on down there, and then also this other situation. So the reason I'm telling you all this is bear with him. He's a little hard to understand, but listen carefully, turn your radio up, and he's a man that is very, very wise. That's coming up on Thursday. All right, calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Your thoughts on some of these stories that we talked about, and I want to get into Antifa in just a moment, so stay tuned. Don't forget our friends at Berry Equipment and Rental. Oh, hello. We're going to have Juan on the air on Thursday, as a matter of fact. They've got 3 locations. They're located at South Lincoln in Jerome, Addison Avenue West in Twin Falls, and 159 West Highway 30 in Burley. They have all the equipment to get the job done right. I mean, you need a Bobcat excavator? They've got the Bobcats in all the different shapes and sizes. They've got them new. They've got them used for sale or rent. I mean, they've got all the equipment rentals and the retail equipment sales. Holy moly! They've got everything. And at the Burley location, a great big sandbox out behind, they'll teach you how to run the equipment too. Oh yeah. Berry Equipment and Rental, Jerome, Twin Falls, and don't forget 159 West Highway 30 in Burley. All right, give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Oh, going back to the floods real quick, just to show you how great people can be on the one hand and how helpful they can be on the one hand, and on the other hand, how despicable in a time of need they can be? Well, a group of people, a volunteer organization, calls themselves the Cajun Navy. And they've donated all the use of their boats, the gas to run the boats, everything. And they're going around, the Cajun Navy, and they're picking up people that are stranded on top of automobile roofs. They're stranded at their homes, on the roof of their homes, or they find them in the street, literally in waist deep or more water. And they've dedicated all their time and effort to going around and picking them up. Do you know what happened to some of these members of this Cajun Navy in the last couple of days? Thugs, punks, and looters have been falsely standing in the water, asking for help, and then trying to steal their boats. I'm serious. This is right from the Daily Caller. And what they've done is they've shot even at a couple of these rescue boats, trying to take the boats from the members of the Cajun Navy. How low can humanity go? Here's a bunch of thugs and punks not worthy of the next breath they draw, and they're trying to steal the boats and the equipment from the good people that are trying to help other people. And the Cajun Navy has already made a very significant impact in the rescue operations in Houston. And they did pull many people out of the water, including an elderly woman from the floodwaters, and she was basically dead. And they resuscitated her, and she is in a neighboring city hospital, and she will be okay. And when you hear stories of that, compared to the worthless, vile vermin that live in our society trying to steal their boats by shooting at them, you just have to shake your head. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Oh, and the other day, Dr. John Zamirik was on my program yesterday, and John did not pull any punches in regards to what needs to happen with Antifa and Black Lives Matter. These are terrorist hate groups. These are nothing more, again, like the thugs and the punks and the vermin down there in Houston area trying to shoot at and steal boats from rescuers. And the way that they're operating right now, wearing their black and their mask and just literally going into a protest that absolutely was peaceful, it was for prayer vigilance. And they went in there and they hit and they kicked and they knocked over people, beat them on their backs. I want you to tell me how much longer we should take this garbage of in-country terrorism by groups like Antifa and Black Lives Matter before all of a sudden somebody says, that's enough, we're going to go on the offense, and we're going to put them down. And underline the word down. It has to happen. These vile people are winning and controlling. And they're putting the United States of America into a chaotic system of nothing more than regression to a third world country like Venezuela, which is what they want. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Please give me a call. I would love to have you on the air with me right now. And while I have a moment, I'm going to explain, while I'm waiting for your call that I know is coming in. Don't let me down. I'm going to have to leave the program this morning at right after the introduction of Dr. History. We have some things that have to be taken care of, and some medical things, and we're going to be taking off at 10:06. So Dr. History will be here on the air from the studio with his Dr. History segment. And then at 10:30 this morning, the lovely Gina Jameson will interview Brian Crabtree from 10:32 until about 11 o'clock. And I want to say thanks to both Dr. History and the lovely Gina for filling in for the last hour of this program this morning. There's that call I've been waiting for. Good morning. You're on the air.
Well, Zeb, whether or not it's Antifa or Black Lives Matter or any of these protest groups that are getting paid and they're really not even sure what they're protesting for. Sure, some of them are, but again, really, they don't. Their heart's not in it. I mean, other than it gives them a thrill to have some sort of altercation, I guess. But to see the truth of the matter is every day, the everyday American who's out here working, when it comes right down to a scrap, we'll win every day, all day. And the thing of it is, the Donald Trump voters are working every day hard, know what it's like to be in a pinch. And, everybody, I'm driving down the freeway right now, and, these people are working. You're working. The people who are listening to this station are working. These other losers, they're asleep.
Well,
They only come out at night. And so, the thing of it is, if they really want to fight, they won't win. But you see, we never wanted to get to that point because, scrapping for somebody, a fisticuff is one thing, but guns and blood is another.
Yeah, let me just throw some idea at you here real quick. And I am going to take a lot of criticism over this. You can criticize me if you don't agree either. But here's the situation with Antifa and Black Lives Matter. They only understand violence. They only understand thuggery. So, my point is, how much longer, and I was listening to Laura Ingraham this morning, how much longer are we and other groups that want to protest peacefully, like this prayer group that was having a vigilance for hopefully praying for this nation and they were attacked by Antifa, how much longer are we going to put up with this before we have to resort with violence to thwart and put down violence? In other words, Randy, it's about time to turn the tables, lay some of these people out so they respect the fact that they are doing a criminal act.
Well, I'm going to tell you, I'm so furious most of the time with this bunch and the media that you're just fighting mad. I mean, I'm talking about fighting mad. I'll bust you in the mouth mad. But you see, the thing of it is there's no dealing with them in any kind of a reasonable way. You can't reason with insanity.
Yeah.
You can't reason with somebody who's being paid to create unrest. So, I don't know, but you see, when we have the law enforcement that's in the tank for Antifa and Black Lives Matter, like in Virginia, then, see, that really creates a mess.
Yeah, but wait a minute, Randy.
The court systems, and let's face it, in some cases, you and I don't have a chance in hell there unless we get some new judges.
But, Randy, if the police in many of these cities are on a stand down, do not get in the fray attitude that is put forth by these liberal mayors and these stupid, sometimes very liberal, sick police chiefs, what are you going to do? I mean, you and I have every right, if we wanted to, in Burley tomorrow, and we said we're going to have a prayer vigil, and then all of a sudden we're attacked by Antifa and Black Lives Matter to the point where they bring weapons and they want to hurt us. How much longer are those groups going to stand there and put up with this? You know, there's, in a lot of the old Western movies, think about this. The Indians were a lot smarter sometimes, many times, than the cavalry. And I remember one John Wayne movie where the general was played by Henry Fonda, and he thought he was chasing a small band of Indians and he was going to beat them. And he came over a little rise in the desert, and all of a sudden his eyes got wide and he went, oops, because he was looking at 10,000 Indians about ready to come and get him. And this is what has to happen with Antifa and Black Lives Matter. They have to have an oops moment that they realize they'd better get out of Dodge City.
Well, that's the thing, and like I said, the people that work every day, well, the people here in Idaho, the salt of the earth, the people I talk to every day, you know, if you want to scrap with them, they're ready. They're ready and willing and able, and, you know, I wouldn't want to fool with them.
All right, Randy, I appreciate
stuff, but when it comes right down to it,
I agree with you.
I would rather fight Black Lives Matter and Antifa than I would these dudes around here.
I'd like to be able to get about maybe 20 or 30 great, big, strong bulldoggers from the PRCA, and I'd like to say, we need a little help over here, and I'll guarantee you Antifa and Black Lives Matter, they might have a problem getting their tail out from between their hind legs.
Well, this is the thing. The sheriff is supposed to be the sovereign leader of the county, and he protects the people that are in the county. If you got paid protesters who are from out of the state, out of the county, there's no question about it.
Yeah.
Right there is your answer. The law enforcement is on the side of the residents.
I agree with you.
County.
All right, Randy. Got to run. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. All right, buddy. Hey, we got to get a weather forecast. It is time. Honestly, I was listening to a lot of people about this subject on radio and television the last couple of days. And I know that the left and the liberals, you know, that are all fuzzed up about the, we can't have violence. Well, it's your side that is actually creating the violence. And when a group creates violence, sometimes the group that is being inflicted upon needs to stop, turn around, and squash the group that wants to do mayhem. A couple of those instances may let these people know that are wearing black and their masks and they're not very bright that maybe what they're doing is not going to be good for their health. Let's have a weather forecast right now, sponsored by Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids and the lovely Dr. Christine Pickup. Oh, my goodness sakes. True hearing health care includes tools and techniques that enhance communication for you and your loved ones, and she knows all about this. She knows all about hearing. She knows all about what to do if you're having a loss of hearing. Please call for an appointment today at 312-0957, right across from the Minidoka Hospital Emergency Room, Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids, 312-0957. Here's the weather.
It's going to be another warm one for today, and it's going to be rather warm for the entirety of the week. Looks like sunny skies for today, high of 96. Tonight we are expecting partly cloudy skies with a low of 62. Tomorrow, slight chance of rain showers and thunderstorms by tomorrow afternoon, high of 89. That is going to carry through tomorrow night with a low of 60. Then for Thursday, sunny skies, high of 90. Looking at 90 for Friday, mid-90s for Saturday. That's your weather for Zebeth Ranch.
Brought to you by Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. Thank you, Gina. And, of course, we want to say thank you to Dr. Christine Pickup. And, of course, the number to call for a hearing screening appointment, I urge you to do that, 312-0957. Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. Good morning, caller. You are on the air.
Good morning, Mr. Bell.
Yes.
You know, the Democrats and liberals like those Black Lives Matter because they're doing the dirty work for them.
It's true. It's true. I haven't heard the Schumers. I haven't heard the Tim Kaines. I haven't heard anybody on the left come out and really damn or condemn Antifa or Black Lives Matter. You're right. I agree with you. Other people don't say it, but we will.
Yeah, you know, it's from time of history of the United States, you know, Democrats has always basically held the black people as slaves and had them under their thumb clear up till today, and yet basically just using them.
George, let me ask you something, and you're a peace-loving man, you've served our country, and you've done so much for the community, but how much is enough? How much of this guff, how much of this danger, how much of these attacks do we have to take around various cities in this country before people say enough, and they put these groups down?
I think yesterday would have been the proper answer for that, and the day before. You know, we're going to keep doing it. Back during the hippie days, the 11s and all that, you know, they protested and raised all kinds of havoc until, I think it was in Lexington, Kentucky. The National Guard killed 4 of them, and that stopped that immediately.
I am just appalled that these groups, Antifa, I mean these little black-clad, mask-over-their-face vermin, going up to people and knocking them behind the knees with sticks, and when they fall, writhing in pain, then hitting them in the stomach and in the head area, all in the name of we don't like you. And this prayer vigil group that was attacked by Black Lives Matter and Antifa, they need to suffer the same consequences, only twice as hard.
I agree. And, you know, it's just not the black people. There's a lot of different ethnic groups in there with them.
That's right. That's right. George, I always appreciate your call. Thank you for what you do. God bless you. And by the way, real quick, I'm going to give you a shout-out. Second annual Patriotic Car Show and Swap Meet coming up on September 9th at the Rupert Square. Going to be a great event. George, I'll keep highlighting it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Zeb. I appreciate what you do for our community.
All right, buddy. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Calls are welcome. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. What about you? I don't care if you're a man or a woman. What about you? Call me right now, quickly, and either criticize me for saying that it's about time to use hard force on some of these groups, or are you of the volition that we should just kind of, let's just love them and they'll turn into better people? What are your thoughts on that? I'll do a commercial and I'll wait for your call. Don't forget your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and 7 locations that say get where you're going on your trip and then turn around and come safely home. Absolutely, because you're driving with the best of tires from your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Oh my goodness, doesn't make any difference if it's your car, your pickup, your SUV, your horse trailers, boat trailers, camp trailers. I don't care what it is. You want to make sure that you've got the safest tires on the pavement, and they are from your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Yep. And all 7 locations know all about tires. They know all about brake service. They know all about front-end alignment, shocks and struts, batteries, everything. But they also know all about great service to you. Stop in today and see Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, Daniel on Poline in Twin, and Randy on Overland in Burley. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Yeah, I know that there will be emails. There always is. And unknown callers that are going to criticize me for my attitude, but I think enough is enough. What's going on in this country is nothing more than chaos and anarchy to destroy the values of this country, destroy our Constitution, and destroy law. I think that if this is perpetrated again, that law enforcement officials should step in and absolutely use the force necessary to put these groups down to the point where all of a sudden they have an epiphany and understand the oops factor. And that oops factor is, maybe we shouldn't have done this. They've got to come down hard on these groups now. And quite frankly, if the police aren't going to do it, and there is a legal, very peaceful protest that's attacked by Antifa and Black Lives Matter, I think you know the rest of the story as to what has to happen. We're going to take a little break and come back with John Legato at 9:06. Very interesting, man. Don't miss it. Until then, we're going to say listen to the CBS News, and we will be back on Zeb at the Ranch. Wheels, old buddy, take it away. Oh, good morning and welcome back. Hour number 2, Zeb at the Ranch on a Tuesday. Thank you very much for tuning in. And, of course, Zeb at the Ranch brought to you by our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations. And, of course, some of our great advertisers like Western Way Services.
From the canyons of the Snake River and all across southern Idaho, we're always at your disposal. Western Way Services, we care about our community, our resources, and this great land. Western Way Services is landing ahead, always at your disposal. Western Way Services.
I don't care if it's for harvest coming up this fall or maybe over the Labor Day weekend coming up this next weekend, and you're going to have a family gathering or a great big huge reunion or a birthday party. Uh-oh, somebody forgot to get the porta potties. Well, my goodness, they're right there on call at Western Way Services. Always at your disposal. Call them at 734-6969 and get the potties for your party at Western Way Services. 734-6969.
Sir?
Well, yes, sir.
Could you go ahead and repeat John Legato's number for me again?
I will quickly. 216-410-4176.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Also, while we're waiting to get hold of John Legato, I want to remind everybody about Hanson Mortuary at 710 6th Street in Rupert with Joel Heward. They have this program they introduced on our program a couple of weeks ago called FAMIC, and it helps gain information about all your family that maybe you didn't know, and it will really help bring all the family members together in knowing a lot more about their family tree and what happened in their family and what did they do, that type of thing. Well, Hanson Mortuary at 710 6th Street in Rupert. The number to call, Joel Heward, his family, and his staff, 436-5636. That number again, 436-5636. Please, I urge you to call them. They always treat you and your family with the highest ethical standards with unquestioned integrity. Hanson Mortuary at 710 6th Street in Rupert, 436-5636. And in just a moment, Wheels, do you have Mr. Legato on the phone?
Yes, sir.
I'll be right with him. Stand by. I also want to remind everybody about Ark Animal Hospital at 750 21st Street near Connection Credit Union in Heyburn. Oh, they've got the warm hearts for the cold noses. That's right. They are a mixed animal practice. Big or small, they love them all. And Dr. Bill and the crew, I'm telling you, they really care for your pets. They really care for your large animals and want to keep them healthy. All I'm asking you to do is call the number, 678-1177, Ark Animal Hospital in Heyburn. It's true, warm hearts for cold noses. I've had this gentleman on the program with me before, and I'm really looking forward to his comments this morning. He is a former deep cover FBI special agent and the author of the new book, The Near Enemy, a John Booker thriller, and we're very happy to have United States Marine Corps retired John Legato. Good morning, John. How are you?
Good morning, Zeb. I'm doing fine.
John, would you be upset if I changed the subject matter just a little bit to begin our information segment and asked you a question that I'm kind of putting you on the spot a little bit, but I'd like to have your opinion. I made a comment in the first hour of this program that it's enough. It's enough with the putting up with Antifa and Black Lives Matter. It's enough with the violence and the terrorism that they're trying to spread and the hatred and the danger that they are creating. What are your thoughts about these, what I would call terrorist groups that need to be put down?
Well, I agree 1,000%. I don't know what's going on with law enforcement, but in my day, if you threw a brick at me or came at me with a club, I would arrest you for attempted assault or assault on a federal officer, and you would go to jail. So I don't know. I don't think it's law enforcement's fault. I think that they're being ordered to stand down. But if a brick is a deadly weapon, a car is a deadly weapon, a club is a deadly weapon, they would not have got away with this 20, 30, 40 years ago.
I agree. But, I'm to the point where whether it's the neo-Nazis on the one hand or whether it's Antifa or Black Lives Matter, we are bordering a tipping point right now, John, of total anarchy. Wouldn't you agree that we've got to stop this now before it even spreads like a bigger cancer?
Well, we can, and what we should be using is these federal laws, like RICO was originally made for the Italian mafia, but it's been applied to groups like Black Lives Matter and Antifa, where you have an organization, an enterprise, and you definitely do. They have a name, they have, websites, so it's an enterprise. You have leaders. You have so many individuals, and then I don't want to get complex for the RICO statute, but both Black Lives Matter and Antifa meet the criteria for a RICO enterprise. And the purpose of RICO was to take down the entire organization and not a few people. I don't know why we're not using the RICO statute, but we can.
And John, I really appreciate kind of a diversion away from our topic this morning because I value your opinion. And now I want to get into the subject matter at hand. And as a father, a grandfather, I really am worried about what's going on with ISIS, Al-Qaeda, etc. Now they are trying to employ boys, young boys, 9, 10, 11 years old, into warning the United States the battle's not going to end on their soil, but it's going to come over here to America. What are your thoughts about all this?
Well, what's happening is, unfortunately, they're right, because they're losing all their territory in Iraq and Syria, and they're actually telling recruits. They had been sending out 90,000 hits into the ethersphere to recruitment on electronic web and websites, and to come to Syria and Raqqa and train. But now they're saying, don't come anymore. Stay in your own area and commit jihad there. So we're going to see an increase of lone wolf terrorism attacks in the United States, Europe, and literally everywhere. Unfortunately, it's the same thing as the government won't let law enforcement to do their job. They have so many restrictions and obstructions for law enforcement to get into these organizations and even stop lone wolf terrorists, because no lone wolf terrorist is unknown. They're all known, but we can't just go out and snatch them up. There are too many restrictions. So the government has to unleash the law enforcement and let them do their job.
John, I'm going to say this, and feel free to correct me because you're the expert. I am not. But I'm going to say that the cancer of acceptance of the Islamic ideology has grown in the last 10 years from our senators, our congressmen, our law enforcement officials, and it seems like they're almost protecting the Islamic ideology to the point where those people know they're protected species and they're going to keep on coming. Do you think I'm right or wrong?
Well, you're right, and there's examples of that, Jeff. The Boston Marathon bomber, Cameron, the older brother, was preaching jihad for years at his mosque. They knew at the mosque he was going to plant those bombs, but President Obama has a restriction I think it was in 2008 or 9, that prohibits law enforcement from surveilling mosque or Muslim agencies. So it's going to keep on coming, and we need the mosque is no different than a church. If 20 FBI agents wanted to go into a Catholic church on Sunday to see what's going on, the priest would welcome them. You know, why can't we have that same ability to go into mosque and Muslim agencies and develop informants? Because that's the key. We need sources in the Muslim community to speak out, and so far they haven't done that.
Right there, you just said something I want to ask you about, and I've been criticized as being Islamophobic. No, I'm going to be criticized of anything about being very secure for my family and my friends and my community and my country. I don't care whose feelings I hurt. I honestly believe that the Islamic goal is to play the sympathy card. Oh, poor us. Everybody's picking on us so that they can get more power in this country. They've done it with our politicians, and now it's coming into the communities. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I don't know why we listen to them. I mean, it's just like Al Sharpton. Al Sharpton shows up and demands to be heard at city and state and federal level meetings, and somebody needs to tell people like Al Sharpton or the head of CAR I'm not taking this meeting. Get the heck out of here. The same thing with these college presidents on campus when these students make these demands. It was like, hey, you're all expelled. Some adult has to step up. And why you're right about that is because these Muslim communities are not assimilating into America. So with every Muslim that comes to America, which is going to increase, we are basically creating two Americas. And we see what happened in Europe. That's going to happen here.
I had on the air Dr. Zuhdi Jasser about 3-4 months ago, and I know you know who he is. And he is a level-headed man that is also a Muslim, and he said it's about high time, or even past time, that the Muslim faith, Islam, started policing themselves, and they're not doing anything. How would you respond to his statement? I think he's right.
1,000%. I mean, they know what's going on. It's not only with lone wolf Muslim terrorists, but the Roof kid that shot the people in the black church and the Nazis. We know who they are. You know what I mean? And we cannot. Law enforcement hands are tied. So this is going to continue, and we're going to have to hurt some feelings. Unless we do that, we're not going to be effective law enforcement. And these people are going to continue. Look at Antifa. I mean, they come to these places in mask. They have weapons in their hand. Again, I must be an old codger now, because 30 years ago, I would have snatched them up, take their mask off, and identified them. You can't arrest them, but I would have identified them, take their photo, and put them on a list. And that's how you get into organizations, infiltrate them, whether it's the mafia or Antifa. You identify them, and then you build a case, and then you eliminate the entire organization, as opposed to one or two people at the lower level. And that's what we need to do.
Is it, I hate to use this terminology with this story and its seriousness, but John, is it all a point of political correctness, PC? Somebody's afraid that if they do something, they're going to be snuffed out, they're going to lose their job, they're going to be exiled to an island someplace. Is it all about PC?
Well, it is, not only with citizens. I mean, another example was the San Bernardino. There was a woman that knew what was going on. She was a neighbor. She observed very suspicious behavior, but yet she was afraid to say anything because she didn't want to offend the Muslim, the husband and wife that ended up killing all those people. I'm not saying we should round them up like the Japanese in World War II. I'm just saying we need to begin to actively make cases on these people. And the FBI needs to get an arm's length away from the Justice Department, which is a political agency, always has been, and become independent again and just kick butt. And that's, when you think about it, the FBI is our last bastion of hope, because these organizations transcend city, county, state lines. We need that type of enforcement, that overarching, to eliminate organizations. And the FBI needs to get its independence back.
I agree. John, when you look at this situation, and you are a counterterrorism analyst, you know about this stuff. You live this kind of a scary study of all these different groups, etc. But what about the refugees coming here to the United States? And we have, I am going to come right out and say, a refugee problem in the Twin Falls area. We're seeing a clash of the cultures, if you will. We're seeing a clash of Islamic beliefs with the Sharia law versus our culture, our laws in this country. What about the clash of the refugees? Are they the prime candidates that we're talking about, ISIS using their children internally here in the United States?
Yeah, the vetting process. There is no vetting process. I always chuckle when somebody says on the left, or a Democrat, that we're vetting these people, and they use 2 to 3 years vetting process. There's so many problems with that. I mean, it's not the government vetting them. It's agencies like Catholic Charities who are not vetters. They're not trained in vetting people. And the other thing is there's nothing to vet. They have, they come from Pakistan or countries in Africa with no history. There's no social media history. There's no birth certificate history. There's nothing. And you have to take their word for it.
Yeah.
And believe it or not, terrorists lie. I mean, that might be a shock to a lot of people, but, they lie. So I think that we need to take families, intact families but no single males. I mean, there's no good way of doing it, so I don't even know what I'm saying, but we have to do something to adequately vet these people. Otherwise, they're just going to join these other Muslim communities and be very subjugated to anything they want. They're, what I'm saying? They're going to do what Sharia law wants them to do, and the community wants them to do. Whether it's teaching a 10-year-old to pull a trigger on a gun, they don't know any better, but that's what's going to happen.
John, what would you tell my audience this morning as far as how to, in simple terms, protect themselves and their community? Is there something, kind of a standard list that they can follow of see something, say something? What would you tell my listeners to do and be aware of?
Well, the see something, say something is sort of a catch-all. I mean, really, if you think about it, what do you see and how do you know what you're seeing? I mean, I'm not saying don't do that. I mean, if you see something suspicious and your gut says something's wrong, say something. But to be honest with you, law enforcement's up to its ears. You probably not even... You can call certain FBI offices now with information, and you won't even talk to a human. So law enforcement is sort of overwrought and doesn't have the manpower to handle all the tips. So I don't know what I would say, Second Amendment, get a concealed carry, have a few weapons at your house. There is no answer right now. I mean, the answer is law enforcement has to do something, and the government has to let law enforcement do it. And that's the proper venue for what you're asking, is law enforcement to take the handcuffs off local, federal, state law enforcement officers and come up with a comprehensive program, RICO or continuing criminal enterprise, and go after these groups in their entirety, in total.
I see. John, let's talk a little bit about your book, The Near Enemy, a John Booker thriller. Why would my audience want to buy your book? Give us kind of a thumbnail sketch.
Well, it's fiction, but it's about everything we just talked about. It's about a group of former Marines who become law enforcement officers, and they get assigned lone wolf terrorists, what we're talking about. And every time they turn around to do something proactive, they can't. They can't go to mosque. They can't follow people on social media to encrypted sites without warrants. The watch list, there's 400,000 people on our watch list, but it's not a stop list. So every day we're waving people on the watch list into the United States. So this group just goes off the grid. They operate. They violate some policies, procedures, and even a few laws, and they're very effective. They become very effective at dealing with terrorists in the United States. And the book will show what we can do. There's 15 steps in the book that we can do to mitigate lone wolf terrorism by about 70 or 80%.
Wow. I tell you what, folks, it's a must-read. The book is called The Near Enemy, a John Booker thriller written by John Legato, USMC, retired. And I want to say, John, thank you very much for letting me kind of jump off the rails a little bit with the first couple of questions this morning. Any final thoughts as to, are we winning, can we win, or are we on a downhill slide as far as letting the PC defeat us with the Islamic problem in this country?
Right now, we're in a downhill slide. I really thought, and I don't think it's President Trump's fault. I don't think he would have so much obstruction. But I think if they let the president, enact some of the things that he wanted to do, what he told us he would do, and they stop obstructing, I think we can really start winning the war. I really believe it, but not at the current state of the federal government.
John Legato, you got to promise me you'll come back. You are a very favored guest. Thank you so much.
Deb, you take care of yourself anytime.
All right, sir. Thank you very much. A very nice gentleman and a great author of the new book called The Near Enemy, John Legato. And I just really appreciate his insight this morning. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. A dear friend, Jerry Zollinger, keeping the tradition going of the best of Zollinger quarter horses at their big sale coming up, 20th annual production sale, September 9th, preview at 10 a.m., sale at 11. Oh, this is going to be a dandy sale. You like horses? You like good using horses? This is the sale for you. 1994 South, 100 east of Oakley, right up there at the ranch. They have horses with great minds, great conformation, and an abundance of color out of really top-notch studs and broodmares. And I'll tell you what, they also, through Zollinger Quarter Horse Sale, rooms are blocked off for you to travel into this part of the country and stay at the Best Western Budget Inn in Burley for buyers to stay there and be there on September 9th. I urge you to get up there and see the best of quarter horses at the Zollinger Quarter Horse Sale, 20th Annual Production Sale on September 9th up in Oakley. Boy, they've got some good ones. I want to take a moment here before our next guest, and I want to highlight the second annual Patriotic Car Show and Swap Meet. My dear friend George Mass heading this up and standing for the red, white, and blue. It's going to be on September 9th at 10 a.m. in the morning till 4 p.m. at the Rupert Historic Square. And it's sponsored by the City of Rupert, Combat Vets Association, and Rupert Veterans Memorial Incorporated. They're going to have all kinds of great-looking classic cars and race cars and a community flag retirement and entertainment and food. Lots of good food. So everybody be there. Second annual Patriotic Car Show and Swap Meet, September 9th at the Rupert Historic Square. Okay, don't forget Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 between Rupert and, well, just right there is that first curve you going into Rupert. You can't miss it. Great location for all your life insurance, health insurance, retirement planning, employee benefits. They really care. And they really know coverage to protect you, your family, and your business. So please write the number down and contact the professionals that are very dedicated and responsive to your needs. Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. Number to call for an appointment, 436-4424. And while you are over in that neck of the woods, don't forget, right there on 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World, let's ride. Oh, boy. They're open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6, Saturdays, 9 to 4, and they've got all the four-wheelers. I mean, look at that showroom. You're going to be amazed like I am how they could get everything in that showroom, all the side-by-sides. They've got a fantabulous accessory department, and a super service department to keep you running. Oh, my goodness, you better get over there. All the fall colors, hunting's coming on. I mean, hey, you better check it all out at Let's Ride, 270 Highway 24, over by Rupert, where the fun is sold. Really good, folks. In just a moment, we're going to have Richard Manning on our program. And Richard, of course, is the president of Americans for Limited Government, and I'm really interested in having him on the program this morning. But I also want to remind you, too, quickly about our friends over at Autumn Haven. We are really, really blessed to talk about them. They've been on our show now for well over a couple of months, and we certainly thank them for all they do. And, of course, they're located at 924 Christian Way in Rupert. The number to call, 436-3200. And they make every effort to make sure that Autumn Haven is the best place. And they invite you to come by and visit their facility and check it out. Because if you've got a loved one that needs that little extra care, they've got great one-on-one care available at Autumn Haven Assisted Living Center. And they're small compared to some, but with a bigger heart than most. Please call them today, 436-3200, Autumn Haven Assisted Living Center in Rupert. Let's go to the phone line right now and visit with a gentleman that also has been on this program many times in the past, and it's Richard Manning, president of Americans for Limited Government. Good morning, Richard. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you, Tim?
I'm not bad. Give us kind of a synopsis of the subject matter that we're going to talk about this morning, because I think I've got a lot of questions to ask you. Go ahead.
Okay, well, a lot of people will ask me, how come things aren't working in Washington? What are the stumbling blocks? And one of the biggest stumbling blocks is the fact there's a group within the House Republican Conference called the Tuesday Group. And the Tuesday Group is a bunch of Republicans, and I'm not going to use the term rhino because I think it's overused. They are a bunch of people who identify as Republicans, but they seem to always vote with the Democrats. And as a result, Paul Ryan, Speaker Ryan, will use the Tuesday Group as an excuse to always move legislation to the left, to do deals with the Democrats, because he can get 40 Republicans to vote with 180 Democrats and get a majority. And it's a lot easier than trying to get those 40 Republicans to agree with the conservative Freedom Caucus and create a Republican majority around 80 policy issues. That's why we've got a center-left government. And so I've just said we're going to go after the Tuesday Group. We're going to make them a dirty word, and we're going to create a situation where the blame falls where it should, and it's where these 40, 50 Republicans who are effectively siding with the Democrats on everything, and yet they continue to run as Republicans in their respective districts.
Richard, I'm just shaking mad hearing this, because for those of us that wanted to see a change, for those of us that wanted to see America become great again, for those of us that thought maybe with the Trump administration we had some kind of a chance, and now you're sitting there telling me about these wishy-washy, absolutely kissy up to the Democrat Republicans that quite frankly should be smacked down and thrown out of office. This infuriates me.
Well, it infuriates me too, and that's why this Friday we're going to be up in one of the leader of the Tuesday Group's district, a guy named Charlie Dent up in Pennsylvania, and we're going to be up there with a bunch of people from his district and from surrounding districts, talking about what needs to happen and really trying to put some political pressure on Charlie Dent to start acting like a Republican and really face the music if he doesn't. So it's a change in tactic here. I'm personally tired of seeing President Trump's agenda being thrown away, the opportunity we have being thrown away, because there's actually people in the House of Representatives and in the Senate who don't agree with that agenda, yet they go home and they tell their constituents that it's all's well and they're going to be on their side. Charlie Dent's a perfect example because he's the guy who refused. The Tuesday Group had one of their leaders, Tom MacArthur from New Jersey, worked with Mark Meadows of the Freedom Caucus to create the compromise in the House that passed on Obamacare. The reaction of the Tuesday Group and Charlie Dent, They threw Tom MacArthur out of the Tuesday group for coming up with a solution that Republicans could vote for on Obamacare, and now he's trying to negotiate a deal with the Democrats that would revolve around bailing out insurance companies, but not dealing with the underlying problems with Obamacare. So Charlie Dent's a disaster, and we're going to start put a finger on him. We're going to let people know who he is, and we're going to try to create a situation where he has to choose whether or not he wants to be caucusing with Republicans or not. If he does, then he needs to start voting with Republicans as opposed to constantly voting to the left.
Let me ask you this, and right now I got to be honest with you. I will do anything, I will say anything to get into a good verbal harangue with the likes of Paul Ryan or Mitch McConnell or any one of this so-called Tuesday group. But what do? What does the general public do, and how can the general public just really put the screws tighter to these people to conform and do the things that they're supposed to do to support the Republican Party?
Well, in Idaho, Mike Simpson is your guy that you should be focusing on. Simpson is a chairman of the subcommittee chairman of the Appropriations Committee. Charlie Dent is a chairman of the Appropriations Committee. So they're both subcommittee chairman of that committee. And as a result, they have a relationship. And if Mike Simpson is hearing from his constituents that enough is enough, we need to get these Tuesday group people under control with a focus on Charlie Dent, Mike Simpson will see Charlie Dent. He'll say, you're getting me in trouble back in Idaho. And that matters. That matters a great deal. So we have to create a sense here around the country that we need to take back the agenda of the Republican Party and what the congressional Republicans are trying to do. And we're going to take back that agenda, not by sitting there and just whining, but by actually putting a finger on the people who are actually subverting the agenda, actively doing so, and saying this is unacceptable, and force those people to make a choice to move to the right, to move towards what their campaign brochures say, and away from this constant destruction of anything that even remotely resembles Republican principles. You know, that one example, and this goes beyond Obamacare, Diane Black, the chairman of the Budget Committee, had a budget that was pretty modest, an expectation to cut about $200 million over 10 years out of mandatory spending. So it was a very, very modest cut in mandatory spending, so-called mandatory spending. It's not really mandatory, but it really changed. We support it because it changed the culture of saying we can start dealing with entitlements in the regular budget, and that change in culture was why we supported it. Charlie Dent and the Tuesday group said, no, we're not going to do that. And hence, we didn't end up with a budget even in this Congress because of Charlie Dent saying no. That's the kind of obstruction that we're seeing. We're not able to even get simple, minor little changes to cuts in government because Charlie Dent says no and prevents us from having a 218 majority. That means you don't have an operating majority in Congress because of this guy. And unless we get them under control and start pinpointing them and pointing out who they are, then we're enforcing them to make decisions. They get a free ride because the Republican establishment will tell everybody, we need them to keep our 218 majority. We don't want Pelosi to be in charge. All the while, Charlie Dent is effectively giving the keys to the Speaker's office to Nancy Pelosi based upon the way the issue sets that he pushes on and the fact he won't allow a Republican agenda to move forward.
Well, let me ask you this, Richard, and I really want to get more poignant about what the problems are or what we can do. I have had my verbal harangues with Congressman Simpson. He is not exactly going to invite me over to Thanksgiving dinner. And so that being said, what are his stances? If he's a member of this Tuesday group or has leanings towards them, I am going to pull the firecrackers out of the 4th of July bag and light them. I'm going to go after him.
I don't think that Mike Simpson is a member of the Tuesday group, but he is one of the remember back in the 1970s when they had, during Watergate, they had the unindicted co-conspirators?
Yes.
And they had that term. In this case, if we were a prosecutor, you might call him an unindicted co-conspirator. Because he's not a member, but he's one of the people who sit there and could influence them and say, we got to get this done, and he doesn't. And so as a result, you end up with kind of a tacit approval of what the Tuesday group does, while at the same time he will attack somebody like a Raw Labrador who is part of the Freedom Caucus as not being cooperative in trying to get things done. So you've got at some level, the GOP establishment, which Mike Simpson is kind of the poster child for, likes the fact that the Tuesday group is there because they're then able to, they really want to work within the narrow confines of what Washington, D.C. wants to do, which is never do anything that's gets anywhere near scoring a touchdown. As long as you're moving the ball between the 40s, you're fine.
Yeah.
And that's what Mike Simpson's very comfortable doing.
And that is absolutely the best analogy I've ever heard. Just keep the ball between the 40-yard lines. Boy, you hit the nail right on the head. Okay, but now what do you hope to do, Richard? Let's just call a spade here. Do you want to see the absolute public revulsion of Paul Ryan and Mitch McConnell and these others? I would. I don't like them. I don't think they're doing a good job. What is your goal?
I want to take away the excuse that Paul Ryan has to constantly move to the left by making it untenable for somebody to be part of this Tuesday group, to make it politically disastrous to be associated with them, and have it become a dirty word in people's districts. If we can right now people are frustrated. They don't know what to do. The people they voted for who, campaigned to be conservative and campaigned for limited government, somehow aren't delivering, and it's frustrating, and they don't know how to. You don't have to get your brain around this because you know your congressman. You don't think he's lying to you, yet nothing ever happens. Well, if we're successful in creating an aura of being a real negativity around the Tuesday group, around the Charlie Dents of the world, at that juncture, what these guys are going to do, all these guys are in the vast middle in the conference, they'll say, I can't be with the Tuesday group. And at that point, that group gets isolated, and we're able to create a center-right governance rather than the current center-left governance that we have. And so we're really we're not going to push, we're pushing it to be a conservative government. We just want to get to center-right rather than being center-left. And that's what this is about. And in order to know what the problem is, you have to name the problem. The problem is the Tuesday group and this block of people who get a free ride politically, and yet are destroying our capacity to govern in the Congress.
Let me ask you this. Is there a list, per se, of these people that are on that Tuesday group that I could obtain, that I could put pressure on people that are business owners, et cetera, around the nation, i.e. Indiana, Wisconsin, Florida, Texas, whatever? I mean, I will help any way I can because absolutely I see an undercurrent of absolute revolution against what Trump ran on, and the Republicans are lazy and slovenly and not following through.
Well, I think the list is not public. It's not a group that that publishes a membership list. However, what I will do on my website by the close of business today is I will accumulate the names of people who publicly acknowledge that they're part of the Tuesday group or in the press as part of the Tuesday group, and I will put it up on my website on my blog, which is netrightdaily.com. Netrightdaily.com. I'll get it up there, and I will get it to you, Zeb, so you can do with it as you will, and use your reach to try to expand what we're doing well beyond Pennsylvania.
I just absolutely applaud you for what you're doing. And, really, it's so ridiculous that the American public probably doesn't even know about this. And yet, here are the Republicans that basically won the Oval Office, won the Senate, won the House, and yet they're capitulating to the Democrats in kind of a political correctness, and the Democrats are still leading this country.
There's no doubt. The Democrats do with and we blame it on, and rightfully so, on the filibuster and things like the Byrd Rule and archaic Senate rules. But the fact of the matter is, what we saw in the Obamacare health care vote was that even in the House of Representatives, House members who campaigned for 6 years on repealing Obamacare, and couldn't put the votes together to repeal Obamacare. and you had to go through a lot of machinations. If your listeners will remember, it was a tough battle to come up with a compromise that would be able to at least do something to lower the costs of health care, while not really getting rid of Obamacare in its entirety, just in the House of Representatives. So it was and that's our battle. You have people who say one thing, but when the rubber meets the road, they're not willing to, do what needs to be done to fix it, to do what they said they'd do. And part of the reason that they can do that is they can say, well, we don't have the votes in the House because of this Tuesday group, and as a result, we have to put something together that that we can get the votes, which means you have to essentially not do what you promised. And as long as the Tuesday group's able to write these bills, we're not going to get good legislation. So we have to force the Tuesday group members to reconsider their membership, A, and B, really force them to eat their own campaign brochures and the campaign brochures of Republicans across the board. So it is unacceptable for a small minority of Republicans who are getting millions of dollars to support their candidacies on guys that we need to have the majority, than to undermine the very essence of that majority. It is unacceptable on all levels, and those people who are doing that need to either change their ways or pay the price politically.
Let me ask you this question, Richard. Is it time, or have you thought about an organization state by state of trying to get perhaps chair people state by state that could start organizing their own groups to basically tell the politicians, shape up or we're going to ship you out? I mean, could this turn into a statewide movement?
Well, I think it could. I think what's more probable, Zeb, is if the Republicans fail and continue to fail, people will say, I'm not going to, we have this term now of self-identifying. I'm no longer going to identify as a Republican, and you will have a granular third party that will develop, and the Republican Party will become the Whig Party and will disappear. That's the ultimate thing that's going to happen, and it's not going to happen because somebody organizes. It's going to happen because people have had enough, and they no longer believe the Republican Party is the answer. And that's what these guys are doing right now. They're effectively destroying their GOP, and because you and I both know politicians are only as good as their word. And and I think if you fool, the old saying, fool me once, shame on you; fool me twice, shame on me. Well, a lot of people feel like they've been fooled 3 or 4 times now, and they voted for Trump because they didn't trust the people who were on the inside doing this stuff. They took a shot with Trump because he was different. And now, if these guys won't do Trump's agenda, at that point, they're going to choose, and they're going to walk away from the GOP, and it will be disastrous because we'll end up with a Pelosi speakership. But, at some point, people will be looking at the politicians and saying, I don't believe you. And the minute that happens, that politician is dead. We have to save them from themselves. And the way we do that is by shining a light on what they're doing, making the Tuesday group to pay a price. And if a naturally occurring event occurs where we end up with third party as a result, well, that's the consequence of the Republicans failing to do what they said they'd do and lying about their platform for the past 20 years.
One final thought here, Richard. Is it time? Is it prime time right now to employ a full court press, perhaps on really pushing for term limits?
I think term limits would probably help, but my challenge is in states where they have term limits, like California, it appears you don't really get the results of what we'd hoped for in places like California. You get recycled crazy, and recycled crazy isn't all that great because they don't know what they don't even know what crazy didn't work last time, so they're starting new crazy and further crazies. But so term limits has its challenges. I do think it's time to do a very. I think what we need to do right now, you get right down to it, we need to hunker down and tell our politicians to support Trump's agenda, get off the dime and support Trump's agenda. And let's give Trump's agenda a chance. Let's see if we can make this work. And if we can't, then we rethink it in 2019. But I think we have to take this year and a half, and we have to do everything we can to force these Republicans to do what they said and to do Trump's agenda. And if they're not willing to, then 2019, all holes are barred.
Well, the problem is with our legislators, and I'll use our Congressman Mike Simpson as an example, when they get back on the Potomac, it's amazing. They develop a lack of hearing. They can't hear their constituents, and they do what they wish, and there's the problem.
I agree, and, the challenge is I think, very clear. For Mike Simpson, a few years back, Brian Smith ran against him in the primary. And Brian Smith had an underfunded campaign. Simpson had tons of money. Simpson was able to say, all the conservative things back to his people in Idaho. He was able to say, he was able to run a negative campaign on Brian Smith because he had the money to spend it. And Brian Smith did not have a fixed name ID that was able to withstand that. So, the incumbent always has massive advantages. I think what's different today, and I'm not advocating election or defeated Brian Smith in that election, okay, but I think what's different today is that there is such general disgust. If you have an incumbent an I behind your name, and you've got a primary opponent, there is a fixed block of voters who are going to vote for the primary opponent because anything's got to be better than you.
Yeah.
And I think when Congress is below, consistently around 15% approval rating, every single incumbent is vulnerable. And I know back here that they're scared to death because they know that the voters are disgusted with them. So we have a unique opportunity to get their antennas tuned in and to force them to start seeing what's going on. I think there's enough fear in Washington, D.C. and Republican circles that there's going to be a massive backlash, that they are going to be desperately looking for ways to appease that. And right now, this is our opportunity, because if they won't listen now, with me knowing what I know about the polling that they've looked at, they know they're in deep trouble.
I know.
The only advantage they have is people hate the Democrats more.
Yeah.
So it's the big advantage is they're not Pelosi. Their big disadvantage is they're not Trump. So we need to force them to embrace the Trump agenda, to enjoy and really get stuff done and to prove it. And this is the message to Mike Simpson is prove it. You say you want to do stuff. You say you want to get stuff done. Prove it. Get it done.
Absolutely.
If you're not willing to get it done, don't come back to us and say you want to vote again.
Absolutely.
That's the message. And it's got to be very, very clear. It's going to be delivered in 239 districts around the country, because these Republicans will come back and say, we got to get something done. And we're going to see it this month. We've got the debt ceiling vote that's going to come up. We've got funding the government that's going to come up. We talk about tax reform this month. We talk about infrastructure this month. So you've got at least two hard votes in terms of the debt ceiling and funding the government.
Absolutely.
If they don't do conservative things with those basic opportunities on must-pass bills and don't get anything done, at that point, their question is, why would you reelect them?
Absolutely.
I think that's the question that they have to hear from voters right now. And if we can get that message across, I think we can make some changes in September.
I hope so, my dear friend. Richard Manning, president of the Americans for Limited Government. I'm going to follow what's going on. I'm going to have you back in the near future. Richard, God bless, and I hope you go after them like a junkyard dog. Thank you so much.
Trust me, my friend, we are going to be tooth and nail with them. We're going to go tongue and whatever that other thing is. So they say this is going to be to the death grudge match. So we're going after it, and your listeners being behind us is really, really important. Thank you very much.
You bet. God bless you, Richard Manning. And I'm going to follow that story with him and have him back in a couple of weeks. Thank you very much. President for Americans for Limited Government. I'm late, and Wheels is going, zap. We got to get a weather forecast on here. Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company, our sponsors. And they are CPAs providing accounting services to the the Mini-Cache area well over 50 years, with offices in Burley and Rupert. The very best of tax return preparation, tax planning, financial statement preparation, business consulting, payroll services, all of this and more. They really work hard for you, your family, and your business. Please remember the name Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. And right now, here's the weather.
It's going to be another warm one for today, and it's going to be rather warm for the entirety of the week. Looks like sunny skies for today, high of 96. Tonight we are expecting partly cloudy skies with a low of 62. Tomorrow, slight chance of rain showers and thunderstorms by tomorrow afternoon, high of 89. That is going to carry through tomorrow night with a low of 60. Then for Thursday, sunny skies, high of 90. Looking at 90 for Friday, mid-90s for Saturday. That's your weather for Zeb at the Ranch.
Thank you, Gina. And, of course, brought to you by our friends, Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. You know, they've got offices in Burley and Rupert, and they really can help family situations with your taxes, in your tax return preparation, businesses, business consulting, financial statement preparation, all of this and so much more. Get a hold of them today, the best. Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. Want to explain what's going to happen next hour one more time. I have to leave at approximately 10:07, and we're going to have the news from CBS, and then I'm going to come back. We're going to introduce Dr. History. He's going to be doing the program from over at the main studios today, and then at 10:30, the lovely Gina Jameson, and such a good friend of ours, has really helped many times. She's going to come in and do an interview with a very, very interesting guest, Brian Crabtree, and she's going to be talking about Jeff Sessions and Joe Arpaio. It's going to be interesting. Don't miss that at 10:30. So, and then I'll be back here tomorrow morning at 8:06. But that's for the next hour rundown. Dr. History and then Brian Crabtree, interviewed by Gina Jameson, as I have to leave early. Right now, my good itty-bitty buddy is going to play some music leading up to the news from CBS, and we'll be back in about 7 minutes. Don't go away. Oh, welcome back, and it's hour number 3 on Wednesday. No, it's Tuesday, August 29th. My goodness, I got a little bit ahead of myself. And I'm very, very lucky and very honored to say that Zeb at the Ranch, with our great big sponsor, our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you. And, of course, some of our great advertisers like Western Way Services, always at your disposal. Call them at 734-6969. Right now, we're going to go back over to our main studios, and I'm going to introduce the man that's going to visit with you, as he has capably for many, many years, and represents himself as Dr. History. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning, Zeb.
That sounds a lot better. Let's play musical chairs again and see which one you can find, but thank you. I am going to be taken off, and you are going to do the program all by yourself, of which you can handle it, I know. And so, Dr. History, thank you for all your help, and I'll talk to you next week.
All right, Zeb. You have a good day.